You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets.
Welcome back to another episode of The Builder's Mindset. I think we're going to keep this one short, just like all product development process should be, right? So we've been talking in these last few episodes, except for the IBS special edition. We've been talking a lot about purchasing and product development. Excuse me, I want to keep this one short because I am still getting over a sinus infection and I still have a little bit of a tickle in my throat that I can't seem to get rid of. So purchasing, product development. If you listen to any of my episodes, you know that I believe those two should have a process, have a schedule, be given the appropriate amount of time, and they should be overseen by, I believe the purchasing team should oversee both product development and purchasing. They should be the leaders of that because they're the protectors of your profit. They're the controllers of your cost. And as we've talked about, I don't care what market you're in, your cost of construction are the single largest cost as a percent of revenue of anything else you do. It's more than permits, it's more than finished lots, it's more than finished lots in most of the country, not more than finished lots in the coastal markets, but it is more than land development in the coastal markets typically, and typically more than land itself on a per lot basis. But in the coastal markets, yes, a finished lot is a larger percentage of revenue than the construction, but it's the single largest. And to me, I consider, like I said, we've talked about this before, I consider a finished lot is the land plus the land development. When you put those together in coastal markets, yes, they're a larger percentage of the revenue than the direct costs of construction, but when you split those apart, they are not. But in most of the rest of the country, you go to the Southeast, direct construction costs are typically a higher percentage of your revenue than your finished lot, especially in a place like Colorado too. Excuse me again. So you got to get your head around giving product development. Look, if it's that big of a portion of your revenue as a percent, why wouldn't you give it the appropriate amount of time that it deserves? Okay, so I don't understand why people say we don't have time. If you look at the life cycle of a community from beginning to end, if you plan out your product development process appropriately, start at the right time, you have enough time to do product development without rushing, with the right amount of input from internal and external clients or stakeholders, and you have the right amount of time to do your plan check process. So when we talk about get the right amount of time for input for our internal and external customers, one of those that we really need to think about is our trade partners as well as those who help us put that plan set together, okay? We let the cities run all over our plans because, that's out of our control. We have to let them do that. Why don't we let our trade partners tell us more about our plans? And I know a lot of people listen right now and are going to say, yes, I do. I ask my trades all the time for input. Well, here's what I would challenge you on that. One, do you ask them for input on the plans before the plans are approved? Before the bid process, because if you wait till the bid process, the way you build a schedule, if you build the schedule the way we suggest you should build the schedule, you shouldn't wait till the bid process. Some builders don't ask for any input from trades. I hear it from trades consistently that most builders don't ask for any input. Some ask for input and then do absolutely nothing about it. Don't even get back to the trade, so they don't even know if you listen to them. Some builders will solicit input during the bid process when they're over budget and they're freaking out. Some do have a general practice of, hey, when you send your bid in, give us your value engineering suggestions. Still too late, to be honest, at that point. If you use the schedule that we at Amazing Mindsets highly recommend you use. And we've seen this. If you use the schedule that we use, yes, it takes time. As we talked about in the last episode, it takes 4 to 9 months for product development and then 4 months for the bid cycle. So on the long end of things, you're looking at a year, soup to nuts. The short end, you're looking at 8 months. But if you ask for input from the trades during the bid process, it's too late. And if you ask them the bid process because all your bids are over budget, then you just seem like you're not thinking a little ahead. So, when should you build this into your schedule? So a lot of people don't like the term value engineering. It's gotten a bad rap over the years. It's gotten this reputation of being like just de-spec, remove, it's really gotten a bad rap. So somewhere along the way, somebody mentioned a term to me that's kind of stuck for me. It's called, let's build time into the system to have an overall constructibility meeting. Okay. I said I'm going to keep this episode short. We're going to try to stay under 10 minutes because I'm about to get to the finish. Okay. When you get your plan set ready, after you've done, and we talked about this in another episode, product development, the overall product development process. You've got your internal customers' input. You've done your charrette. You've done your back and forth. You've included marketing. You've included sales. You've included the division president. You've included construction. And now you send that first plan check submission into a city. When you send that into a city, send it out to your trade partners and create a coordinated meeting between your key trade partners, let's say, your mechanical, plumbing, electrical, your framer, concrete. There's a few others depending upon your market that might make sense to get some input from, and loop them in with your HVAC designer, your mechanical engineer, HVAC designer. If that's not your installer at that point, should be doing JD&S's, manual JSDs and S's. If you're not, we should talk as well. And loop them in with your structural engineer and your truss designer. If that's a separate entity, let's say it doesn't go through your framer. Let's get them all together. Send them the plans when you send them to your city for your first plan check. Build a spreadsheet. We can help you with that as well too. That has a standardized format. It's not rocket science. It's got a few columns and a few columns in a standard row. It asks them to say, hey, if you see something, put the plan type, put the elevation type, put the room, what's the suggestion, and then have a tracker column. Are we going to use it or are we not? Get them to put that in. Tell them, give them 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. Really 2 is probably good. And then schedule a meeting for the 3rd or 4th week out to go over all those with that whole group. Have them submit those in that spreadsheet form so you just copy and paste, run it all into one, categorize it by who put it in, go through it plan by plan, 3 or 4 plans. This meeting should take you maybe 2 hours, a half hour a plan. The first plan is going to take about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, because there's going to be a lot of things that get repeated, that just apply to all the plans, and then each successive plan will be a little quicker after that. So it's maybe 2 hours at most, and this is a substantive meeting. This is not a garbage meeting. This is like we're going over the nuts and bolts of stuff. What you want to try to do in this meeting is make some decisions. Is it feasible? Will we do it? Won't we? You're not going to do everything that you get suggested from you by every person putting input in. Just the fact that you've held the meeting, talked about their input, validates what they're saying, and even if you take none of their suggestions, you're ahead of the game, I would say, of at least 75% of your competitors. Next, you're probably going to take some of these suggestions. Some of them, why the constructibility term over value engineering really resonated for me. Some of these may not save you any money, but they may make it easier to construct the home. When other trades on the call hear that a trade said, hey, this really doesn't save any money, but it's a lot easier for us if you do this. And you take that and you give that direction to your HVAC designer or your structural engineer, your architect, and say, we're going to do that because that's a good suggestion. You want to talk about builder choice. Now you start to create this culture of, if you have ideas, even if they don't save us money, but they help us build the houses more efficiently, we're listening and we'll incorporate those into our plans. You are now changing the paradigm of the type of builder that you are to work with in your marketplace. And so when you go through all that, now you've got a list of all the things you're going to do, all the things you're not going to do, and then there'll probably be some things of like, we need further clarification on this. So what I typically like to do as a builder, I color code these. Green, we're going to do these, done, we're going to do them. Yellow, we need further information, and then who do we need that from? Is that we need further information from the architect, the structural engineer, or one of the designers, or is it that we need further information from our other internal customers? Like, oh, here's a suggestion to remove this that'll save, $140 a house. Let me check with the sales and marketing team and make sure that they have a chance to look at this and say, hey, no, the value of that is $500 for the homeowner. Please don't get rid of that. Or, you know what? Actually, I don't think the homeowner sees any of that. Yes, let's do that. So you got that. You got the green, we're going to do these. Yellow, we need some further clarification. That is your responsibility, you as the builder now. On those yellows, you want to get answers to those within a week. And then the reds are things that we decided that we can't do these. We're not going to do these for one reason or another. It doesn't meet with our product programming. It's in opposition to our construction standards or our quality standards, whatever that may be. And now you're going to take that whole list. Within a week, you're going to get answers to the yellow items, those ones we said you need further clarification. You're going to send that out because it's now going to have an assignment. Is this the responsibility of the architect, the structural engineer, the energy designer, the HVAC designer, or some combination thereof? And you send that list out to all of your professional services groups, those folks who do those designs for you, and now you give them on notice. Now, be careful on this. Remember we said, we send this out. This process starts when we go in for first plan check submission. So now what we want to do is hopefully also part of your process, and we can help you with this as well too. You have a forecast of when you hope your plan check comments are coming from the first plan check out from the city or the county, the municipality that you're dealing with. When those come out, they usually come with their comments and their list. You've now already provided that constructibility note set to your designers, all the different designers that you're using for those plans. They've had a chance to look at them. They're on the ready with those adjustments based on the red, yellow, green. And now when the city comments come in, they would normally have to take a week or two to update their plan set to that. You combined all of that, and now your second plan check submission has all of the things you've decided to do in the constructability process that happened in tandem with your city's review. Now you've got your city's comments. You put those all together. When you go to second plan check submission, as we've talked about this before, now bingo, there you have basically what I would call a 99% set. It's got all of your internal customer comments. It's got all of your external partner comments. It's got now your city comments. That set is now your bid set. You go out to bid with that set. You've taken advantage of getting all of the possible constructability ideas for saving money, making the plans more efficient to build, all wrapped up, one nice neat package. Now your purchasing department can go start their 6-week timeline to start getting you the best number, the best cost for plans that your trades are ready to build. That's how you do it. Build this all into the whole product development and purchasing process. Watch your costs start to come down on future plan sets. And then when you start repeating those plans, as we've talked about in previous episodes, watch those costs start to come down even more, because now they start to know what the plans are like, what they can build them for, get the extra waste out of it, and successive communities or phases of that community start to get really efficient. Watch your build cycle come down, watch your quality go up, and watch your costs go down. All by methodically conducting a constructability meeting that doesn't add any time to your timeline. Now, one thing before we wrap up, I will say, I know there are some of you out there who want to go out to bid with first plan check. And I know some of you are saying, Mike, we hardly have any comments in our first plan check. Why would we want to slow the process up? Because once again, I've said this before, I'm going to hammer this home. You almost always are going to have a second plan check. So I'm not saying this won't extend the time a little bit. If you're in a municipality where your master plan checks come out in 4 weeks and then your resubmits come out in 2 weeks, yes, I'm going to be honest with you, this will probably extend your timeline 2 to 4 weeks. But I guarantee you that if you could run this in tandem in parallel universes, you would save at least $1 a square foot doing this process the whole way. At least I'm being conservative. Average square foot of a home, 2,500 square feet in the United States, $2,500 a house. Multiply that by the number of times you're going to build those homes. If that's not worth it to you to reduce your house cost by $2,500 a house out of the gate, I don't know what to tell you. But if it is, you should think about it. I hope this helps. I hope you start refining your process, because I truly believe if builders were more intentional about their product development, the whole process, including the value engineering / constructibility process, at the end, you'll start communities cleaner with a lower cost, and your build cycle and your build time and your model builds will get faster and be much more efficient, less chaotic. Your trades will know what they're doing. They'll thank you for it. Your finance team will thank you for it. Your margins will thank you for it. Hope this has been helpful. It's been another episode of The Builder's Mindset. Hopefully we see you soon. Thanks again for listening, and have an amazing day.
You're listening to The Builder's Mindset with Mike DiGiovanni, presented by Amazing Mindsets.